You must have well-being to be able to give the full devotion to the practice. I removed all of work-like vocabulary from my studio practice many years ago. So I say now, I'm going to the art studio. I never say I'm going to work. It's like a place of worship and inspiration and, freedom. Symmetry is very important to me. It begins at the onset. You have to start right away with the color when you choose the ground, and then deciding what numbers are going to be painted, how to make the grid, and then figuring out where to start. How's it going to get painted? What kind of thing is going to happen? Triangles, dots, both. This here is a 16th order magic square doing what's called a full knight's tour. So this one moves like a knight. These lines represent the movement. So it goes from 1 to 256. And the reason it's called a full knight's tour is because this is the 1 and this is the 256, and they are also still a knight's move away in chess. And you work on a white ground so that the lines are very vibrant and they're drawn. Like, that's the best way to make a line, is to draw it. But then you do have to paint everything else. So it's kind of a pain, but I think for the effect, it's worth it. Because I think that's what, maybe Annie Albers said that, like the effort has to be worth the effect. So I'm always really trying to employ that. I'm learning how to paint this one. This is the repugnant prime. So this is 1,031 ones. It's a palindrome, and it's prime. And also the total number of digits, 1,031, is also prime. It was a brawl, that painting, yeah. You wouldn't expect it, right? All ones. You think there'd be like real homogenized, behavior or whatever, but that's not what was going on. I was definitely not good at math as a kid. I had an experience in 5th grade with a timed multiplication test, and the timer would have tick, 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 the multiplication problems and the ticking. I just was like, I got overwhelmed. I basically had like a nervous breakdown and had to leave the room. The passage of time like that has always been a source of exhilaration for me. The show at the museum is a group of paintings from 2006 through 2017, borrowed from different collectors, and it's great to see paintings I haven't seen in a long time. This one is called So Long. It is a calendar of my life if I live to be 83. It goes in a spiral. Time. And this is a Sophie Germain prime, which is tetratic, and 727 digits long, which is also a prime number. And so if this painting, if you turn it upside down, it would read the same number because it's zeros, ones, and eights. And it also, a palindrome means it goes backwards and forwards. So tetratic basically means a 4-way palindrome. And this one's named after a dog that was named Puff Cloud. I would see walking in my neighborhood. I don't know, I like the bounce of that dog who's very happy to be on a walk. Everybody wants to know why do I like prime numbers? And my feeling is, how can you not love prime numbers? You know, like they're the best. Using them, you can produce all the other numbers. So they're like the most necessary, the foundation of the numbers. So these are the prime year dates that we have currently. You know, we just had 2017. And we don't get another one until 2027. And it represents the time of my life, because this one starts with 1993, which is when I graduated from art school. As an art practice, the numbers came after art school. I was working at Needle Exchange, and we were in staff meetings that I could not stand. And so I started doing Fibonacci sequence, which is just continual adding. I'm like looking at these drawings and I'm like, wow, this drawing is really beautiful. So I made a painting of it, and then it really took off from there. For me, it's just a list of numbers. In my books, that's what you see, is lists and lists of numbers. That's what inspires me. I think for a lot of people, it freaks them out. They don't want to look at a list of numbers. In humanity, there's a resistance to counting, accounting. People have a lot of bad associations with like their checkbook or their bank account. They can never remember numbers, they can't remember birthdays, they can't remember addresses, you know. All these numbers more like haunt you than are something that excite people. They need like a system that can help them to appreciate, understand, relate to their beauty. They have this more universal meaning. They're not just this thing that you're bad at all the time. So my intention for making each painting is to create something that no one's ever seen before and exalt some numerals that I find exceptionally beautiful, and to bring magic, beauty, and possibly an object of adoration or meditation to viewers. If you did kind of space out and look at them for a while, you would have different thoughts in your brain, kind of like EMDR, where your eyes are moving around. A different neural path is traveled. And when I make a magic square, it's for something. Either lost people, missing people, deep sleep, flying backwards, which would be what Superman would do, and we could, go back in time. The big heart painting is called Election Party. That was started on November 9th when all my friends were suffering deeply the day after their election party that went awry. I worked on this for really 4 months solid, I think, and that was one of the ways I got through that time, and everyone feeling so traumatized and stunned and not knowing what to do. And I often make heart paintings. I think this maybe is like my 12th one. They're not numeric, but there's a lot of counting that goes into the making of them and the structure and the composition. A lot of times my grids are in a 7 or 14 color mirror image arrangement using Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. A lot of people leave out indigo. Yellow has been my favorite color since 2002 probably. It's had a long run. I associate it with the days of the week way more than my mood. Because there's 7 days of the week and the 7 hues of the rainbow, I can't not associate them that way. And I do like to make black paintings. Sometimes I do that, like I go real monochrome, and then to expand that palette, but have a system to it, I mix Roy G. Biv. And the thing that's interesting about using Roy G. Biv is there's an inherent value. Value means like lightness or darkness of a hue. To capture that is a lot about how I think our eyes adore the rainbow. It has to do with the way those values step or gradiate. And so I'm always trying to capture that. That's one of the most important things. And fade. You know, the smartest thing to do would just use an airbrush. That would be, if you're super into fade, I don't know why you're not using an airbrush. It's idiotic to try and do it by hand, but. So fade to me is the way the painting says, I love you to the viewer. And I can't fuss with machines. Like, I don't want to be all separated from drawing and painting with equipment. I wear +5 magnifying glasses, and I'm generally 8 inches from the panel, and the rest of the world is really shut out. You know, like the volume's really turned up. There's not room for my own thoughts. There's a dissolving of self, where the painting has more presence than me. There's something like that, some sort of power exchange that goes on. This one's been going on quite a while. It's been through a lot of phases, and I don't think I'm nearing the end. I would like to be saying goodbye to this one soon, but I think we still have a ways to go. To me, the painting is the receiver. Like, they really are entities to me. They get really strong and forthright and demanding about where they want to go, and they lead. And I really like to paint, to start with basically nothing, and over time creating something I had no vision of at the onset, you know, where I'm surprised by what happens, what comes about.